Saturday morning, but I've been up since about 4 a.m. My son woke up. He got a little sick this morning. He has a G tube, so sometimes it's hard to tell if it's an actual sickness or if he's, just a normal thing. But the last couple hours he's been fine. It's just we gotta watch, make sure he's doing okay, see what's going on. But right now for XRP, sitting at $1.4762, moving up pretty much ideally like we were expecting. The only thing that I'm watching for now, and it doesn't have to happen, believe me, if we run straight up to the $1.56, maybe we would avoid coming down to the $1.37-ish area and just continue to run out. We are overbought, but that's gonna work itself out soon. It's just I don't know exactly what level that's gonna work out at now. There is the optic that this could come back down and retest this breakout. There's the optic that maybe, after it finishes a little bit more of a run up. But me personally, what I would expect after this little bit of a push right now is I really do look at something like what H bar did to kind of give me some kind of a possibility. And now we've come way up here now with H bar. So initially H bar made its nice little push up, started to run outside of that descending wedge, kind of like XRP is, because it pushed out at about 9.1, got all the way up to 9.7, then back tested it, and then ended up continuing to the next layer. XRP sometimes, though, it doesn't retrace to those levels. Sometimes it just keeps going to that next step. So we went up, consolidated a little bit this morning, made a nice inverse head and shoulders right here on this back test. Now we're pushing up. 45 isn't really where I'm too worried about. It's when you get into like the 4 hourly. A lot of times when you start looking like that, especially on a thinly traded weekend, at some point during the weekend, we end up starting to gap it a little bit because we've gapped up. And we know we had the futures close at $1.4140. We talked yesterday about this is a rare weekend where we can go in feeling bullish, especially in the Saturday. And so far, so good. Like, it's been a great weekend to start. However, I always look for the areas that can continue this launch point. And if we want to continue launching, like, look what XDC's done. It's fantastic. XDC came down to the here to back test, broke out. Now it's come over the next layer. Now, would we just continue all the way through the 200 day, or would we start to, try to ride this a little bit, try to clear out? It's tough. I feel like with XDC, it would have more of a chance just to break right through just because of how it's back tested and done what it needs to do. But XRP's sitting in a really good spot right now. After that push up, the one thing, there's not a lot of volume, but we've talked about this. I expected this to push up, be a volumeless push up. So you don't really need that confirmation with volume because we're not necessarily looking for this to reverse into a 100% bull market now. We're looking for this to make steps. I'm very happy with where it's at. I'm extremely happy. Because prior to the breakout, we targeted that $1.34 as a perfect entry if you missed it on the initial drop to $1.13 in that descending wedge. So I'm really happy with how this is playing out. Like, really happy. But no other sell wall exists until $1.70. But we can agree to disagree. There's going to be a sell wall at $1.56. It's unavoidable. There's also one at $1.48 that it's like $1.44 to $1.48 is the best area. So this would be a logical spot to retrace a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way back to $1.37, but it's Saturday morning. USA's a little excited as they wake up. Bitcoin's a little overexposed now. Not that it's going to go down right away. Bitcoin's actually broke out to a perfect spot. But if I'm a betting man, I'm saying even if Bitcoin comes up to 72, 73, I think it backtests this spot at 69.4, 69.5. I think this is a logical retracement after getting back up and over that breakdown of the symmetrical triangle, which formed a nice descending consolidation. But it would make sense to me that, okay, well, now we come back and retest that break. Now, is it going to go way up first before we start the backpedal? It's possible. It's possible Bitcoin goes up a couple $1,000 more before we start that backpedal. Preferably, I would like to see a backpedal. We don't even need to go to $1.37 now for XRP. With how far we've pushed out, we could honestly say, and this is why sometimes it's nice to have the second push out before the breakdown, the back test. Because now, I mean, logic says we could even come back down and start riding the 20-day down here to $1.43 as of right now. We could just push straight out because this is another kind of a flag here. We could even push out to $1.52 and then come back down and retest these areas and not even come all the way back down. What would be the best scenario for me personally? Like what I would like to see? It's getting a little extended now to just say, oh, we're going to come right back down here. No, just a guarantee. Would I like it to bounce maybe on the box here? Maybe. I just want to see some liquidity cleared out this morning. The more liquidity cleared, the better, but we're not to our target yet. Like, make no mistake. Well, short target, yes, because it started from there. Short target, we already broke out, which is why it's back tested, but it would make a lot of sense to get a little bit more attention here. Now, I'm not saying that means we're going to be bearish. Believe me. I'm just saying it makes a lot of sense here on a thinly traded weekend to start tapping some of these liquidity zones on the way up. So we came from 134 all the way to 147 now. It's a healthy move. That's about 10%. Real healthy move. So if you talk about a little bit of a retracement, I just want to see which level it starts at. Does it start at $1, like at this $1.48 where we were just at, right around here? Does it start a little bit higher? Because right now, we should all feel very, very, very blessed, not only to be here together, not only to be breathing this morning and given the grace from God, our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, Jesus Christ. But we have a blessing here because we have the ability to foresee what's happening in these patterns by trying to identify these charts together. And this morning, I think we're given a humbling opportunity that there's only 55 of us in here because it's so early on a Saturday that we can talk a little bit. I think we get a humbling fact that we can watch the chart start running up a little bit and understand that, okay, we're extending ourselves a little bit. No harm, no foul. We're not buying at this exact spot. We had perfect targets for buy-ins if we wanted, even if it was to just swing trade this market or ride this market up to this next destination. We at least got a guiding stone that, if anything, ladies and gentlemen, even if this breaks down and doesn't end up going to where we want, which I don't think it's going to break down completely. I think we still got another layer for the most part. I think we're going to probably target that 172 to 177 area. As I've been saying, my plan was for that area. But I like the shake and bake in the mornings. People wake up very excitable, very emotional, especially on a weekend, getting excited. I like when people get excited in the morning and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it comes back and retraces. Everybody gets a little discomforted, discombobulated, and then all of a sudden it gets to the next layer by the afternoon or early evening. That's what I would ideally like to see. The crypto fear and greed index last night, as you know, a couple days ago, it took out 5 and I was super excited. I've been waiting for 5 to get taken out for weeks, months. The fact that we're still in extreme fear after all this run up is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. We're at a 9. It's probably going to go up a little bit now because of this run, but that is phenomenal. With all of the stuff that's happening, we're getting a lot of retail that was willing, just so willing, to buy even last month when the greed, remember the greed ran up to 61 in like the beginning of January, and we're like, what the? That's way too quick. It dropped all the way to a 5. We had a historic low. It was phenomenal. Oh, I was so happy. That was on, I believe, was that Thursday or Wednesday we hit 5. It was fantastic. So we've taken out these anomaly areas that we really need to. And like I said, I didn't come on here starting out saying, oh, XRP is going to fall down right now, because I wanted people to come in and be like, oh my God, it was just bullish. And now I come in and watch Tom and now it's bear. It's not that. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it got overextended. That push up near 148 is a perfect resistance start. And now it's up to us. Do we hold $1.41 or do we go down to $1.37.8 area and retest that descending wedge? Or can we just run up from here, overtake $1.48, and then all of a sudden start pushing that $1.56? If you're trying to get an entry point right now, I will just say it's a very, very, very bad idea. Just because, yes, you might play the risk that it's going to keep going up. But at this point, if you didn't buy this descending wedge, it's an issue right now, because now you're going to want to, I'm just saying, when you miss an opportunity, remember from $1.13 when it came all the way up to $1.41, and I said, listen, guys, or $1.46, we don't know the pattern. And let's just see. We'll get a second chance to see what happens. And then it consolidated. We talked about that $1.34, which was on the money because it was just the descending wedge. That's not our community bragging. That's not anybody saying, oh, we're better than you. That's just saying we understood what was setting up. We've seen that descending wedge, and we know that's a bullish consolidation. So any of the noise in between is where you buy. You want to buy the support structure, especially once you hit the third tap. If you come a fourth time, that's a gift. And we approached it that way, that we had a gift. So then the next chance is going to be at the breakout point, which was $1.38. Then the next chance is going to be, well, you don't really know where the next chance is going to be because you would have thought a back test would have been another chance, but we did not back test. We came up $1.43 roughly, came down to $1.39.8, back up to $1.48 almost, $1.47.6. Now the question is can we start holding some of these short term? So you got to get into the 30-minute. We haven't tapped the 20-day yet since we bounced off here at about $1.41. Somewhere we're going to find validation. I always get a little anxious in the mornings when we start waking up, but we still have momentum, so we're not worried about that just yet. But by the time we get to, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock, I just want to see how this reacts this morning. We have a very big opportunity here, though, to have some significant market movement if this holds properly. Like, I feel really good right now about where we're at. I feel really good about just what some of these other charts have done, like H-bar extending out another 5.5%. Obviously finding itself very overbought right now. The shorter time frames cleared out a little bit, which is phenomenal. Look how quick these cleared out in the hourly. But when you get into the 4-hourly, we know we're destined for some kind of, relief. So it's either we're going to relieve ourselves by coming down to 960 before breaking out of this resistance, because this is the over-the-top resistance. This was the next layer. We talked about the run-up when we came out of the descending wedge, the opportunity at the back test, and this was our technical move up for the first layer. We get up over this. Now, all of a sudden, we break out of that falling little expandable channel, which we were talking about maybe it being expanding, broadening wedge. Not an expandable wedge. But that's definitely up to everybody's interpretation. Could also say it was almost like a channel. So if we can get on top of 10.4, I mean, that opens up the door to like a 40% move. Like, I'm not even joking with the H-bar. But we're going to have to get some kind of confluency. Maybe we run up another 10% and then back test that channel. I feel like it makes more sense, though, to back test this move before we do the further breakout, just because of where we sit in the stochastic. Whenever you see the stochastic like that, double topping, which is what it's trying to do right now, at least for H-bar, you came up, ran, came around. This is your double top right now. Now, if it wants to clear out, it could, in fact, sink all the way down here. It could even pull something like this if it was bullish. You never know. I don't think it's going to clear the whole thing out. It might. It's possible on a thinly traded weekend because everything's pointing in that direction. So do not be surprised if people wake up this morning. I'm just going to front run everybody. I always do. I don't care if people get mad at me. So be it. Just don't be surprised, even for XRP, if it dips down in the 4-hourly. And even if it's going to hold, it comes and retraces something like this and starts doing something like this. Otherwise it's going to be a nice quick sink. And that's actually what I want. If you're asking me, and people might get pissed, I would like to see something like that real quick. Like, oh, it's thinly traded. Oh my God, we're back down and retesting $1.34. What the hell just happened? Oh, never mind. Zooming back out. And that would fully clear this out to do something like this. And then the daily time frame, I mean, we've worked our way up now. That's another issue. Got into overbought. Weekly, we're not quite rounding the bottom yet. Monthly, we're trying to start rounding. But that's a substantial pullback up here, too, in the monthly. We could turn this into something special by the end of the month. So, you think Ripple sells monthly XRP today? Nope, not today. Monthly XRP is on the first of each month. Although, that's what gets put into supply. So, you're not actually wrong because I actually posted something yesterday, the day before, about Ripple moving couple 100 million XRP, and it was for an expansionary purpose. But the sale, we weren't exactly sure, but it looked like it was going to be pretty imminent. So would it surprise me with a run up like this to $1.48 almost, and then it sells off a little bit? No, actually, I'm actually anticipating that to happen. But yeah, Venice, it's you're not wrong though, because Ripple did move from their own Ripple Labs wallet or Ripple wallet into a unknown wallet earlier in the week. There was a couple 100 million tokens. So it's not the traditional monthly escrow unlock, but I think you're on to something with Ripple moving stuff. Because they do have some that they could sell. And bi-monthly, they don't just do the escrow dumps. They usually, during the month, Ripple will move something, especially if they have an expansion going on within their ecosystem. And we know we have the XLS 77 that's been upgraded. We know we have the further like integration. Europe had a little bit more integration. XRP is going to be reclassified by the federal government. There's a lot of smoking guns there. But yeah, so we have a lot of optics here that we have to watch for sure. So I appreciate that input. Two Ravens, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Joe America, good morning, and happy Valentine's Day to my beautiful audience, indeed. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're all having a blessed start to the weekend. I know in Michigan, the kids are off for the next week for spring break. Michaela still has college, but at least the grade school kids have the week off. So T's vacation started today. However, he had a little bit of a rough start this morning. He woke up, he threw up a little bit this morning. No fever or anything, seems fine. He just had a moment. So I've been up since about 4 a.m. Went to sleep about 12:30 a.m. So pretty typical day. Joe America says, hey, Tom, I'm working all weekend at the hospital. Do you think putting in a limit buy for XRP at $1.36 might be smart? If we get back down there, it might not be a bad idea. We'll have to see how we react with the area to see if we don't break it down. But if we were to make a run back down, remember, we have a little bit of a gap here now. See where the gap's at. So would it make sense to come back? Maybe not. Maybe it won't come all the way to $1.37. Let me see something. Excuse me. I just want to see something. Fuck, that even shows $1.37. It wouldn't be unwise. It wouldn't be unwise, my friend. It's just you would have to put like, okay, if you put a stop loss, or I mean, if you put a buy order at $1.37, your get out of jail free card would be if it breaks down that $1.34 very quickly and it doesn't hold, you got to get away, because then that means it did a full-blown pattern shift. Now we're probably going to come back down to those lower levels. And then it was just a short push. See, this is where we're stuck in the middle, because we can technically target $1.56, but I know the initial target coming out of that wedge, the short term was like $1.48. So the fact that we've literally pushed right here on Saturday morning on a thinly traded weekend, and we're so significantly overbought in the stock RSI and the 4-hourly, all that's telling us is we're very volatile, but we don't, with the buy volume we brought in, we could be exhausting ourselves as we get higher into this area. Now, understand this could climb all the way to $1.56 first and then end up working your way back to $1.48, which would not be a bad scenario because we would still dump out, by 4 to 7%. But it would bring us into that higher tier. So that's what we're watching. Do we get into the higher tier first? If we do, we're going to cook. We're not going to have to worry about $1.37. But we'll see. This is normal expansion in the morning on Saturday morning, especially when you're overbought. So you got to get the good vibe starting in the morning. I always feel like that on a Saturday morning, or any day to be, for that matter. I think XDC is kind of... XDC almost feels like it wants to try to make a sneaky run up to 4 cents. We're still in that C wave in this corrective. So, I mean, that's the other good part about this. We've drawn this out for XRP2, what we were looking at. We stayed within our drawdown zone. We've broken out of that resistance now. I mean, coming up here, we have $1.77, but even over the top, you got $2.02 if you really work the majestic movement. So I would love to see what XRP's plans is here. We've got this up to $1.65 we targeted for this C wave, even though it can come much higher. It's just that's where that over-the-top resistance was. So if we can bust out of $1.48 and retake $1.56 at some point here, that's where we would start targeting $1.65, then $1.77. So I don't disagree with somebody who said $1.70 or $1.77's. There's nothing in between. I vehemently disagree. You've got a major symmetrical or descending triangle resistance that we broke down at $1.56, $1.57. So that's a major resistance. There's no two ways about it. And then $1.65 is an overwhelming resistance that could be a third tap to confirm a downtrend, or you break out over the top and confirm that we can break out of this excessive downtrend that we've been in since the beginning of the year. Because you can see it started right here back in January 13th, about a month ago. And now it's just been in an excessive downtrend. And we got to get above 165 right now, practically in real time, to break that resistance. So those are the two resistance. Then that $1.70 to 77 range comes into play. But we can't act like it's not sitting there, and I'm not going to. I'm going to be very straight up. That is the two major resistances in between. But your resistance is the ultimate, because if we get above that, then we can start flipping more into a bull market. But obviously, to get into a bull market, you have to clear one obstacle before I can say, guys, we are in a bona fide bull market, and that's replacing this downtrend from when we started the bear market. That's your bear market downtrend starting in July. You don't even have to think twice about it. That is your bear market. You get above $2.02, we're going to cook like you've never seen us cook before. And we're going to end up starting to come up to not only this number, but then we can start talking about it. I can't wait until we can talk more about this. This is the all-time cup and handle. And I don't want to trick the audience by just showing this. But once you get above $2.02, you realize what that pushes you above. You're way above, and you can start pushing up and out. Now, yeah, where I marked that, it's $1.73, but if you come in real time, you got to get up towards that $2.03 area. That's why it's so important. You get outside of there, we're in a bull market. Once you get outside of that cup and handle, the all-time cup, you're in a bull market. It's a bear market consolidation. I wish more people were interested in these kind of times, I must say. But we got a lot of people that don't want to be a part of it until something big's happening. You got to be a part of it before something big happens. That's the only way you're going to be something. You can't be a somebody when you're buying in with the explosive green candles. You got to have the foresight to buy some of these moments when we get opportunity. Like once we break outside of that all-time cup and handle, we'll start talking about this more. But we've put in a descending wedge. Does anybody realize that who's watching a descending wedge out there on the back of a all-time cup and handle? Do you know what that means? This price is it's already built up for a move to over $6.40. It's already built up. Now that won't come without a little bit of work. The descending wedge itself brings you up to $4 roughly to an all-time high. Now that's where you can have an endless debate. Do we have shoulder, head, shoulder, and then we have to back toss? It is very possible that we would do something crazy, but you don't count on it. I said yesterday, you ride this, don't be sad. And the day before, like haven't you guys had enough bearish time? We should pay attention when we turn bullish. You know, that's even if it's a micro bullish, doesn't mean $1 not going to come, sub $1. It means that it's not. The only way to invalidate that is to get above that $1.56 descending triangle and start pushing up from there. That's how we can invalidate that moment. Continue with some comments. Dan, welcome in along with William Hayes. Thanks for being in town during 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Brax, good morning. CJ2 Pilot, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. Muhammad, good morning. Hamburger, welcome. Hamburger Helper. Good morning to you, friend. Bounce Back, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Let's see. Garbanzo, thanks for being in town. 6+ months with the XP Predictor. James McKerney, good morning. 86 cents. We don't know if it's in the picture. That's still the technical target on the descending triangle breakdown. And we can't invalidate that target until we not only come up to $1.56, but we have to get on top of $1.77 roughly to invalidate that structure. So it's impossible for me to say. As of right now, we still have not invalidated that further movement down. But this was a needed movement. This is kind of like when you have a big drop and then you have to have a relief rally. That's what we're in the midst of right now. The volume portfolio suggests it's just a relief rally, but never say never about a continuation out. So we'll see what happens. I fully anticipate a drop down at some point here in the short term now to retest this movement. I can't help that. I think we're going to be under $1.41 probably, as well, maybe not $1.41, but going near that $1.41 area as the day goes on. Hopefully I'm wrong and we just go up to $1.48 and then ultimately $1.56. And then maybe we can back test $1.48. That's what I'm feeling right now. Might not be for everything, but look how overbought we are in some of this. Big time. Now, could we run up to the 200-day? Absolutely. But I would like to see a hostile retest. Now, if we get a hostile retest, we could start to cook. I want to cook. I don't just want a short-term move. I'm so sick of these short-term 10, 15% relief rallies just to go down 45% more from where it ends. I want to see us do this properly. So if we're going to do this properly, we're going to have to take it real quick. And we're going to have to see whether or not 141 holds, I think, would be a good spot. Or $1.37. Unless we run straight up, like I said, over $1.50. Most likely, hopefully, $1.56. And then we can start back testing higher levels and not have to worry about the lower levels. We know we had the futures close at $1.4140, which means right now we're looking at about a 4% or more gap that exists right now in the futures market. Which is nice because over the past few weekends, we created an upward gap of resistance. Now we might have a gap of support for the first time in many, many weeks. Because typically we've been falling on the weekends, leaving a gap up to start the week. And once we would gap up and fill it, we would just fall down even farther than we started. Until we had the eventual, what it looked like a small amount of capitulation down to $1.13. Because a lot of people, you had a lot of long traders that they were getting liquidated. Or you had a lot of people that were in for a while from, the midst of a bull market, and now it's down 40, 50. So they just couldn't take it anymore. Everybody has their breaking point, And now all of a sudden it goes from $1.13, and now you're up 20-something% from the bottom, and now people are really, and you can see it through the crypto fear and greed index. Even yesterday it was at like 9. We got 11 hours before it reshuffles, roughly. But yesterday it's at 9. Until for the next 11 hours and 47 minutes. It's going to be higher than that. Just by virtue. But we took out the other day. We were at 5. I don't remember coming in with a bigger smile in my history of doing this than when we finally took out that 5. Because when we were at 80 something earlier in the year, last year, I said, listen, I'm going to be really bullish when we come down and take out that 5 in the fear and greed index, and Bitcoin takes out 59K roughly, because that was the back test of the cup and handle. And yeah, Bitcoin's come down a few $100s right now, big deal. But we had to back test that cup and handle breakout, and it did. It absolutely did. And this is kind of like what I was talking about with XRP. What if we did have that big breakout? And then we just backtest that whole descending wedge. Would it be any different than Bitcoin going to 126 and retesting 59? No. But now when everybody is extremely bearish, I'm more bullish than I used to be, going forward, especially in the micro that we were building. But while everybody was super bullish during that 50% plus drop for Bitcoin, I'm super bearish, telling everybody stay liquid, let it play. Let's come down here and backtest this area. So, we're always on the opposite of what the statistical norm says. And I like that. I love being on the opposite ends. Like this morning, you're going to get a bunch of people that are going to be overzealous. I'm telling you right now, on a Saturday morning, not in this market, seeing it go up about 20% in the past week, especially in the last day or so, about 24-hour period. XRP's up a good 10, 12%, about 36 hours, we should say. And now you're going to get that overzealousness. Like, I can see it this morning, just the uninterested nature. I'm giving gold mines here this morning. I'm giving you factual things that you can work with, where even if you have no idea how to open a chart, you can literally jot this down. And out of every 10 people that come in, 4 are leaving within 2 minutes. Figure that one out. So it's almost like a psychological battle between me and myself, and trying to just say what the truth is other than fudding it up. Because fudding it up helps me keep an audience. But telling the truth, I lose about 40% of every single person that steps in. Every single time I do something. And it's kind of It gets interesting because sometimes you're like, am I even doing this for the like? Am I even doing this right? Like, should I be doing it a different way? Like, look, I mean, it's a perfect example. I can look at it every single day. It's kind of demoralizing in a way, knowing that you can give fire, but people just throw water on it and then they leave. It's like, oh, we can build the biggest fire we've ever seen, but we'll bring in a wave of frustration and just, the water to put it out. And then we'll just have like kind of we'll just have a smoke out. So when everybody else comes in, they're just going to see smoke and they're going to miss the fire that caused the actual destruction or the impression. But I can't fight. I can't fight retail. I can't. I'll never be able to. I'll never be as big as some of these other channels, and we'll never hit the algorithm in a certain way because the algorithm likes they like when people are. Mm, that's another story for another day. Solo Jeffy, welcome in. I appreciate you, my brother. Um, Bounce back. Thanks for being in town. Only 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Logical Patriot, good morning. Venice, welcome in. Garbanzo and Bright Future Freedom, thanks for being in town. Only 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Plant Goodness, thanks for being in town. Only 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Mark Phipps, welcome in. Says, hi, Tom. What you thinking about Elon using XRP? 2 months to go, apparently. It's speculation, but I can't verify that. That's why I don't talk about it much. But yeah, there's no real validation. But I mean, we'll see if it's actually true. It's like April, May area with this supposed conspiracy about Elon using it. So I mean, we're on like a 60-day timer to see if that's true or not. We're definitely getting close to that. Mello, I appreciate the kind words, my friend. Bitcoin dominance, Muhammad. We'll pull that up and see what the targets are on a breakdown. Unfortunately, though, we thought Bitcoin dominance was going to actually break out right now. And I think it's going to probably push up here towards that 60 percentile. What, Julie? Oh. So we have a nice descending wedge that is breaking out in real time for Bitcoin. So I actually, well, wait a minute. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this. I was like, why does it look like that? My phone, I always forget. But yeah, we're trying to break out in real time here. Let's put this in the 4-hourly. It'll make it easier for you to see, my friend. And great question. Honestly, good question. Had some great questions this morning, to be honest with you. I'm very happy about that. I mean, I see a wedge here. I see a wedge. I think that's the appropriate way to do it. And we're just breaking out. So this is going to bring us up near 60%, in my opinion. This will bring you up near 60%. If you are watching, make sure to hit that like button. 69 people watching, 48 people hit the like button. That's phenomenal. For the ones who stay here, I can't even thank you enough. For the ones who want to hear the truth and want to, even if it's not easy, at least it puts us in position. Look, we were able to, as a community, the last couple days, do very well together. Very well, as a matter of fact. So, but like, I'm not going to come on here, even if it looks good, and be like, hey guys, we're going to have this smoke up our ass. No, I mean, if we want to continue to hold this, it's either going to be $1.41 or $1.37, which I would like $1.37.8 because that's the back test, a real back test of the descending wedge. But I could also see it hang out around that $1.41 because that's where the futures market closed, and we could use that as a bullish retest, as we head through the weekend. Plant Good Seeds, thanks for being in town. 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Says yesterday's drum session pumped it up. I mean, I can't disagree. I talked about how we could pump it up with music. But yeah. Bright Future Freedom, thanks for being in town. 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Says XAI goes public this year. That will be a nice investment. He's actually eating? He hasn't eaten yet. Oh, he grabbed him at least. That's good. But yeah, for anybody tuning in, my son was a little sick this morning. He not saying he's got a fever or any kind of illness. He's got a G tube. So sometimes every few months, you're being fed a lot of stuff, and it's acidic by nature. It can be. And sometimes he has the throw up sickness, it'll just happen. And normally he's just fine after. And today he threw up this morning about 4:30ish. And it was just one throw up a couple times. And once he was done, he's happy. He's running around the house. He grabbed a little snack, so we'll see how that goes. He's been drinking a little bit of water. So I think he's okay. we're supposed to go tonight. My mom's going to be here. Me, Julie, and the girls are going to see Phantom of the Opera tonight at 7:30. We're gonna go downtown at like 4:35 ish. As long as everything's going okay. So we'll see what happens. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. Going first real big play I'm going to with Julie and the girls. And Michaela's coming down from Western Michigan. I think she came down last night. She's at her dad's house, I believe. Um, so yeah, that'll be fun. She's in the honors program at Western. So hopefully T does okay today, and well, my mom will be here, so I'm not too worried about it, even if he does get sick. But I don't really want him to get sick when I'm gone. But Bitcoin cracked 70K. We should start to see some kind of a downturn this morning a little bit. But to the 73 people of you that are in here, you bless me. You bless me. Some people think I do too much or I work for free doing this. It's not working for free. Even if I made $0.00 putting this information out per day, it's value. I've made money trading by being able to do this with all of you. So don't discount that. Had a nice swing trade that was able to be closed once we got up near $1.48 to try to watch this retracement. I'm not talking about a spot. Yeah, I don't want to go into it. That's my own personal business. Nobody else's. Mellowmania, good morning. Anthony Venegas, thanks for being in town zone for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I really appreciate that. Good morning to you, my friend. Do I think it's a good idea to hold a couple $100 and wait for a breakout and stick a long on? If you're gonna do that, you want to target the areas. So right now you'd be targeting probably around, you'd either have to look at $1.41 or $1.37 to see if we're gonna stick. Because you're still trying, in my opinion, as long as we don't crack that $1.37, we're still looking for that short-term move back up because we never tapped $1.57 or 56. We went up to like $1.55, $1.54, but we never 100% hit that descending triangle, which leaves me a lot of hope. I also have hope we don't have to come down here and we can come down to $1.54. And our spot bags can just do what they need to do. Like our spot XRP it can ride. It doesn't need, XRP's fine. Like look where it came up to. $1.54. That's not $1.56. $1.54 to me is not $1.56. Now what I see is you're either going to hold $1.41 at the liquidity box if we come down, or we'll come in out, hit that overextension back out at $1.37, $1.38 area. I don't know if we can get around either or. I think $1.41 is probably going to have to hit at some point. So this 4% will probably be wiped out in my scenario. But then it ends up evolving into a push out to $1.56 in this scenario. Let's see. Let's continue. Dirty Train Rider, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP predictor. Most people are sheep, man. Don't want to hear anything real. Don't beat yourself up over the idiot. I think that's a fair assessment. Don't beat yourself up. It's not that I beat myself up. It's that I feel like we don't do the most we can do because we don't have as many eyes as we should. It's a weird thing, but I feel like the eyes we have are the ones that need to see this. And the ones that don't just aren't ready for that part of the cycle. So it's a catch-22. I feel like we're getting to where we need to go. I feel like we have the proper audience. It just kind of sucks a little bit or kind of hurts the heart a little bit, knowing that there's so many people that need the guidance and they just don't know who we are. And some of them know who we are, but they just haven't seen enough. They don't know enough yet, so it's kind of, I feel gutted sometimes. It's like I felt in 2021. We've got all the answers. Not all of them, but we've got enough answers to where general retail will get way ahead, would get so far ahead. They wouldn't even know what to do. That's the problem. Most people come in here, they don't know what's going on. And then when they see what we're saying, they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. This is the opposite. And then when it starts happening, like, wait a minute, why the hell isn't anybody else? Why isn't anybody talking about this? And that's what ends up happening. And that's the biggest compliment I can get. That happens time and time again, more than anybody could ever know. Just as many bad emails as I get a third of them are good, about 25 or 30% as much. People just like to be hateful more. But the good comments, you'll see it. Hey, I just found your community. I wish I would have found it sooner. I can't believe that the algorithm didn't show me. I've been watching YouTubers since 22 and they just finally show, I get a lot of stuff like that. It means a lot. That's what keeps me going, especially in the mornings, waking up at 4 a.m. because of my son and only getting a few hours of sleep and then wanting to come and do this. Julie's up, they're doing fine. So I'm like, I need to go do the live. She's like, go do it. And it's like, I have a lot of passion for this, a lot of passion. That's why I keep looking at it. That's why I keep watching it. That's why I keep, I want more. I want more out of this, not out of our audience. I want more out of what we're doing with crypto. I want to know more. I want people to know more. A lot of people want to trade crypto, but they don't know crypto. A lot of people want to be investors, but they don't understand money versus currency. A lot of people think it's okay to sit still, but they don't understand the rate of return with inflation. I want everybody to get a better understanding of the overall global workings of all of this. I don't want somebody to just come in and go, "Hey, we are we're trading cryptocurrency, but we've never invested a day in our life. We don't even know what digital is compared to the old analog. We don't know what the importance of these block or what the we don't even know." Um, but the new 1099 DA tax reporting framework is changing how digital assets like XRP are reported, aiming for clearer records, but raising risk of flagged inconsistencies, especially with cost basis data. And this is more nonsense. This is more nonsense that doesn't help anybody. This is just another reason why people aren't going to trade crypto if this all continues. So as tax reporting rules for digital assets evolve, holders of XRP may be unknowingly paying more taxes than necessary. According to tax specialists and blockchain analysts, the issue is drawing attention ahead of the upcoming filing season, particularly with the rollout of updated reporting requirements that expanded how cryptocurrency transactions are tracked. Cold storage transfers create cost basis confusion. A growing number of investors are moving XRP tokens from exchanges into private wallets or cold storage to improve security. While such transfers are generally non-taxable events, reporting systems on many exchanges can sometimes treat the movement as a sale when the destination wallet is not clearly linked to the original owner. This can result in inaccurate tax forms showing proceeds without the proper cost basis attached, potentially causing investors to overpay tax if the discrepancy is not corrected during filing. Nick Bourne from Count on Chief said that the problem is not unique to XRP, but affects many cryptocurrencies that are actively transferred between platforms. And that's another reason why I said enough. We've got to start sticking to the exchanges because now we're paying more in taxes than we should, and we don't have any recourse because when you don't have your ID linked to it, there's no way of knowing whether you're selling it out as a sale point or if you're just transferring in between wallets. So if you send it from Kraken to crypto.com and you have it verified with your ID as a tier 1 exchange, it's going to work itself out as you file both of the returns. But if I'm sending it from Kraken to crypto.com, that's fine, but the movement from one of those to a wallet that's unidentifiable or a non KYC exchange, now you're creating it as almost like a new income. So you're getting taxed, like 35% on income. There's a lot that goes on there. That's why some people are like, "Oh, my tax attorney said I shouldn't be filing all of these and I shouldn't be paying all these taxes." And it's not untrue. Some tax attorneys are telling people not to file at all. And it's like, well, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. But this is a big nightmare. This is what's causing a lot of retail. They're just not going to trade crypto. They're going to go into a regulated market because this is going to become regulated with the Clarity Act. They're just going to go into the stock exchange and they're going to trade the ETFs. They're going to trade a couple other things. So experts warn that investors who fail to reconcile exchange statements, wallet transfer, staking rewards, and capital gains calculations could face double taxation risk or potential audits. As digital asset markets mature, accurate record keeping is becoming as critical as portfolio management itself. With institutional adoption rising and government tightening reporting standards, tax professionals advise XRP investors to maintain detailed transaction histories across exchanges and personal wallets. Proper reconciliation of transfers, gains, and losses can help prevent both overpayment and compliance issues. As crypto regulation enters a more structured phase globally, the message of digital asset holders is increasingly clear. Security practices such as self-custody must now be matched by equally rigorous financial reporting to ensure that blockchain transparency does not translate into unexpected tax liabilities. So in other words, they're putting all the emphasis on you, and they basically are double dipping on us. So I'm not worried about the audit side. I'm worried about we're paying way more in taxes than we need to with crypto. And that's starting to become a obvious glaring problem with crypto, in my opinion. This whole thing is becoming a problem. Oh, I forgot about the XLS 85. Nice. We've had a lot of updates within the framework. It's really nice. Really nice. Um, let's see. They finally launched XLS 85. XRP is slowly starting to dwindle down now. It was near $1.48 when we started talking about the levels. Dana, not understanding crypto text has scared me from selling. You're not the only person. You are not the only person. Venice, I am not, that's not my forte, so I don't speak of that. We have so many people in so many different countries, and each state is regulated differently in the USA, which is all I know is I get hammered from it, and there's not much recourse. Whenever, this year I have a bad feeling that I'm gonna owe a lot, so I'm probably gonna push it out to I'm gonna do an extension, and I implore everybody who trades crypto, extend it out until the October deadline so that you can let this work itself out for the next 6 months. I'm not going to file early in March. I'm not even going to file on time. I'm going to do an extension, pay the $20 or whatever and just file an extension because we don't know. There's going to be a lot of changes by the end of the year. But I don't have a video. I wanted to do it, but I was encouraged not to, not just by myself, but by the tax side of things because it's so there's no way to really it's so strenuous. There's so much de facto BS that it's impossible. Yeah, Oliver, the only reason we don't is because there's so many wrong things with it. We're not tax professionals. We don't even really know the tax code. There's no real framework. And the Clarity Act is going to make it even less understandable. So, I can't personally do that. There's so many things that are wrong with it. Now we can talk amongst ourselves, obviously. Um, but Oliver, it's harder than it sounds. Because the EU has their own taxes, the USA has their own, Canada has their own, the Asian markets have their own, the they're all different. Define, welcome, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in my community and in Tom's already 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Define, my son, he has the G tube and he woke up at about 4:30 a.m. and he got sick, like he threw up. Just one series of throw ups, like 2 or 3 times back to back, just in the same moment. When you're sick, it comes out a couple times. But he doesn't have a fever or anything. He seems very happy. He was running around the house a little bit. Um, so hopefully it's just, sometimes having a G tube, getting fed constantly through the tube. Sometimes, from the acid buildup. It'd be like if you were drinking milk and stuff and just a lot of different milk based stuff or protein based or just liquid based. And you get upset stomach, you throw it up, and then you're good to go. So hopefully that's what's going on. Me, Julie, and the girls are supposed to see Phantom of the Opera tonight at 7:30. We were planning on getting downtown around 5. My mom's supposed to be here. So we're hopeful that T's doing good. It's gonna be a lot of fun tonight. So we're hopeful. We're hopeful that this is T will be okay. He just started his winter break or midwinter break. So he doesn't have school this whole week. We have to go to Grand Rapids tomorrow. So it's going to be a busy couple of days. He has to get his G tube changed on Monday, overall checkup. And they'll see if he needs to be resized and things like that. Get his weight, talk to his surgeon. We talk to him every 3 months. So we sacrifice and make a trip, 3.5, 4 hours out to Grand Rapids every 3 months. No exceptions. Unless, we get snowed out. Your wife and daughter loved it. They went Thursday night. Oh yeah, that's what you were saying. Did they go to was there a show in Ohio? Oh, no, wait a minute. You're in Canada. So was there a show in Canada or did you come down into the state? Because I know it's been downtown for a few days. Did they come down to the States, to Michigan, or was it in Canada as well? I was curious about that, Define. Because I remember you brought it up the other day. I'm glad they had a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. Dress up, a little spazzy. Oh, you went to the States. Awesome. It was in the state. Nice. Yep. I figured you might have been down. They might have been downtown. Small world. Couple days apart, we might have seen each other. Isn't that awesome? But I'm glad they had a good time. It's a rather long show. It's like 2.5 hours, but it should be spectacular. Should be spectacular. I'm really looking forward to it. And we're blessed because last Friday, as you know, 1 week ago, well, Scarlett had it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 shows on Saturday. She had her own play, Freaky Fridays, that she tried out for, made it. She had a lot of different roles. She wasn't the main lead, but I called her the utility player because she had like 6 different parts. They even gave her a microphone, one of the few people. So it was really fun. So now we get to go from watching her in the play to going watching one of the greatest plays of all that you could watch, Phantom of the Opera. I've never seen it live. I've seen a bunch of different variations on TV. Never seen it live. Um, but I'm honestly so blessed to see 75 of you enjoying this morning with me. It's so awesome. Went through a lot of information this morning. Oh yeah, the news. I shared this before with all of my community that this was going to happen, but it's official now. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse joins the Commodity Futures Trading Commission Innovation Committee. What could this mean for XRP? The U.S. derivatives regulator, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Did everybody hear about this? CFTC has appointed Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, to its newly formed Innovation Advisory Committee, the IAC, a 35-member group tasked with advising the agency on emerging technologies such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and digital asset markets. The move places one of the most prominent crypto executives directly inside a federal advisory structure at a time when U.S. regulators are working to develop clearer rules for digital assets. Lonzo, good morning, my brother. Lonzo's been here for many years, very helpful to this community. Blessed to have people like Lonzo. The committee includes leaders from both traditional finance and the crypto sector, including exchange executives, infrastructure providers, and market operators. The presence of industry figures is intended to help the regulator better understand technological developments affecting derivatives and commodity markets, areas that increasingly overlap with digital assets. So we have a shift toward industry collaboration. Garlinghouse's appointment shows a shift toward regulatory collaboration with crypto firms rather than relying solely on enforcement actions. Over the past several years, regulatory disputes between crypto companies and U.S. agencies created uncertainty for the market, especially around how certain tokens should be classified. Participation in the advisory committee gives industry leaders a channel to share technical expertise and policy input as new frameworks are designed. For Ripple, the development is particularly important because the company spent years dealing with legal challenges tied to the classification of its digital asset, which XRP is being reclassified as well, which is phenomenal. There's been framework drawn and new laws being put on the books for this. It opens up the door for the Ripple Bank to go even deeper, and XRP, how it's classified. Having the company CEO participates in a regulatory advisory group reflects a changing environment in which regulators are increasingly engaging with industry participants to shape workable oversight models. What could the implications for XRP be? While the committee does not directly set policy or determine legal classification, Garlinghouse's presence could indirectly influence how regulators understand cross-border payments, token liquidity, and blockchain-based financial infrastructure. Areas where Ripple's technology is heavily focused, greater regulatory engagement may also support the broader push for clearer rules governing digital asset markets, an issue closely watched by investors and institutions considering exposure to tokens such as XRP. Regulatory clarity, rather than any single committee appointment, remains the most important long-term driver for institutional adoption. However, advisory roles that include senior crypto executives are often viewed as a positive sign that policymakers are seeking industry input before finalizing future regulatory approaches. The Innovation Advisory Committee also includes executives from other crypto exchanges, blockchain infrastructure firms, and traditional financial institutions. The mix of participants reflects the growing integration between digital asset markets and conventional financial systems, particularly in derivatives trading and tokenized financial products. As the committee begins its work, its recommendations could help shape how U.S. regulators approach innovation in commodities and derivatives markets that increasingly involve blockchain-based assets. For XRP and similar tokens, the longer-term impact will depend on how forthcoming regulatory frameworks evolve. But the inclusion of leading crypto executives suggests that the industry will have a stronger voice in upcoming policy discussions. It's good news. It's good information to know. We can see the direction that's being pushed. Ripple is definitely becoming deeper and deeper entrenched in the not just the crypto sphere, but in the regulating sphere and the political sphere. You know, it's not by accident that Ripple donated to both sides of the aisle. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, is all I can say. Bitcoin's trucking down a little bit. I would expect XRP to follow. If we talk about the first test for Bitcoin would be to back test 69,400 roughly. We're working that agenda. That's why I'm glad and blessed we were able to come on before this started to drop down. We'll see if XRP follows suit. XRP right now, if we follow suit, we're going to end up starting. Well, I mean, the pairing's starting to push up. We'll see if, but I would think that XRP, we got one of two choices here. If you haven't been tuned in and you're just tuning in, yes, we can test that descending wedge, but before we could even get back there to back test, I think we've got this wall that we could hold. Let's see how we react at $1.41 and then $1.37 if we break down. Squirrel gravy over some fresh sourdough this morning. Yum, yum. I sold some at $1.46 on Kraken with the Pro. They execute trade at 143. Why do they not have limit? They have. Wait a minute. What? That's impossible. That's not right. If you're on Kraken Pro, there's no way you sold it at $1.40. No. You absolutely can put the number in on your sale. If you put in market order, it still shouldn't have been $1.43. That doesn't seem right. Let me look at Kraken. I don't understand why it would be $1.43. That doesn't even sound right. I trade on Kraken all the time, and they've got hella liquidity for XRP. That doesn't seem right to me. Something went wrong there. You should always be putting the numbers in on Kraken, Brax. Especially, they do have, it might not act like a limit order, or it might not say limit order, but when you're selling, make no mistake, it asks for the best bid, best ask. That limit price is your limit order. So the best bid right now for XRP is 146.34. You should have been able to sell this very easily. There's a lot of liquidity here. Tons of it. I just want to see something. I'm going to buy, for an example, $100. I'm going to buy 100 tokens of XRP to see something and then just sell it. It's $146 worth. See what it'll give me for price. I'm going to buy. Give me 146.47. Now I'm going to sell it. I'm going to say best ask. Remember, it was 140. Oh, now it's up a little bit. 146.47 was the buy price, but I think the price started to tweak up as I bought it. So let's sell it and see what it gives us. I'll put 146.2 just to see what it sells at. I sold it. It sold at 146.63 in a volatile moment at that. Most likely when you sold it, so I want you to do this while I'm on here, Breaks. And I'm not a financial advisor. I just wanted to see the liquidity. There seems to be proper liquidity. I want you to go on Kraken right now, type in XRP and hit the sell button. And then you're going to see where it says best bid and best ask. And it'll say limit price USD. If it doesn't say limit and it says market, change it to limit. Change it to limit immediately. And we'll try to rectify this together. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can certainly tell you what to do here, just for the future. And then once it says limit, go to best bid, because best bid right now is bouncing, and then you have to go to best ask. Normally the ask is a little higher than the bid, and then you put it in. So right now it says 146.35 as it's shuffling back and forth, because the price is volatile and it's going to probably go down. But if it said 146.3 here, I just put 146. You know, I had no problem doing that. See, and this is just a list of alerts that I have it talking about. You know, and this goes back into the past. These aren't right now, but this was back in the past log. That's crazy. But yeah, I would definitely look at that and make sure it's on limit, because that's an integration they made not too long ago. And then also make sure when you're doing this, you make sure what the best bid is. Because as the price comes down, now the best bid's down to 146.0. It's all based on the moment. But I always put it a little bit under. So if it's 146.08, now I put it at 145.9. And then it'll fill it up wherever the bid's at. It's not gonna, but you got to do it properly. If you put market, and let's just say you have $20,000 and you're doing a market order, it's gonna find wherever you can immediately sell that. So it might dip down to that $1.43 to find some of the sells. It does that in a volatile moment. So most likely it was set to market and not limit. But I'm still disappointed in Kraken that it would do that from $1.46 to $1.43. That hasn't been my experience with the higher volatile tokens like XRP. And I've been doing it in high volatility just so I can see a baseline. But I would definitely check that, my friend. I would definitely check that. Man, XRP, if it could hold this area though, and man, I'm craving that $1.41 if we're gonna pull down. I really want to see if it holds that $1.41. I'm like I'm engrossed in this right now, let's just say. I want to see so bad if we do come down here and hold this box, because now we're on the top side of it. That was our liquidity zone. That's perfect too. That's the exact spot. $1.41, that's crazy, because that was our nice consolidatory area. We had a nice push up. And then if it doesn't hold that, and no guarantee it comes down there. But in my expectation, I don't really see how we would get around that. Because even if it wouldn't hold that, then all of a sudden you start talking about coming all the way back and retesting that $1.34 area. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's what I'm looking at right now. So as we go through the day, I hope this hour helped a lot of people. I hope we're able to get a proper understanding of what we're looking at. And for the ones who stuck around, I think you've been given a golden ticket once again with knowledge. Sometimes the technicals aren't sexy, but they're going to get you through. Sometimes you don't know what the news is going to be, but if you understand the technicals, you know when the news is coming out. It's simple. The news can't predict the charts, but the charts can predict the news. In our society, they act like the news predicts the charts. It's not true. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. So I thank you all. I fear you a good biddings. I'm gonna go make sure my son's doing good. No donations or any members of Tom's Army, so nothing to talk about there. Some would say I worked for free this morning, but I don't look at it that way. I think the knowledge is much more valuable. So appreciate it. I'm optimistic, Tom. What do you think? Optimistic for sure. For sure. First target's been filled up to $1.48. So now the question is, do we backtest any part of this move? I would think it would be unusual not to at least backtest $1.41. But then again, if we go up to $1.56 first, maybe just maybe that $1.50, maybe we'll run up higher. We are overextended, which is why Bitcoin dropped about 800 points now. It is what it is. It's backtesting this forward move. That's the break back over the symmetrical triangle, which should open up the door to a move up to about 73 as long as we don't give this back. If we give this back, there can be, a little bit of a test down here even, but you don't really want to get back to the bottom side there. But if we do, it's just going to make for much more volatility over the weekend here. So be blessed. I thank you. To the core members, just keep paying attention to this breakout of the descending wedge. Pay attention to that descending triangle breakdown at $1.56. And then above that, pay attention to right around that $1.77 and $2.02. As remember, overall, we're very bullish in the macro. We have the all-time cup and handle. So if you're looking at what's to come, the all-time cup and handle says we're going plus $6.40 at some point. This descending wedge on the handle suggests that we'll go up to $4 once this breaks out, and we got to get above $2. That $2.02, and we're going to be cooking. That doesn't mean that we can't come all the way back down. The floor is like 76 cents in this descending wedge if we take it all the way out until July of this year, which would set us perfectly up for midterms, ironically, for a big parabolic spike. Thank you so much, Bright Future Freedom, for the 6 months plus with the XP Predictor, and gifting a sub said nobody is working for free this morning on my watch. So thank you so much for that gifted sub. And Ron DX, congratulations. Or Ron XRP Shiba Army. Ooh, interesting. Congratulations on getting that gifted sub for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Appreciate that. Not for free today, but hey, at the very least, the knowledge that we've learned together has been worth it. Now we sit back, we watch, we see, we don't overhype this, and we kind of watch to see the consolidation. If we get a breakout, we're very blessed. But in the interim, we watch to see. Algo, we thought was a very nice price at that 008 when it was working there for this retest. And now, I mean, it's had a phenomenal move from this down to 0081. You're talking about a 15 to 17% movement. However, we're getting overextended. So would I be surprised to see some kind of back test before the continuation up to almost over 10 cents? Not at all. And for the first time in some time, H-bar's overtaken Algo price-wise. So that's pretty incredible. TJ2 Pilot, thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Says, here's a tax event for you. Absolutely. I get $10.99 on YouTube, so it's all taxable. Everything that's sent, everything I earn, just $10.99. But fortunately, I have a lot of history with $10.99 jobs, so it's not hard for me for that part. The hard part's the crypto stuff. But then again, I deal with commodities too with mining stocks, so I have to deal with it in the same regard. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. The little super chats and stuff. Really appreciate it. I don't see anywhere to do it. It's actually on your sell button. It's actually on Kraken when you hit sell. It'll show to the right where it says market, or it'll say limit. You have to click that button, and then it'll show like stop loss and trailing stop loss and all this other stuff you can do. You want to switch it to limit, and then it'll show below that best buy, best bid, or best offer, best ask, and that's where it's at. I'll check back with you. I gotta go though. My son, like I said, I gotta go check on him. He's autistic, and he's nonverbal, and how he got sick this morning with his G-tube. I just want to make sure everything's going good. But yeah, please check in. Strut Rugal, I'm gonna send you an email. I'm gonna put my email in here. It's under Juju Fish, Julie's, because I'm using her account. If you want to send me a message here, my friend, you can be a little more personable if you need to send pictures or whatever. Maybe I could circle it on there or whatever. But at strutrugali@gmail.com. I'm gonna put this in here, strutrugali@gmail.com. You can feel free to send me a message after this live if you have more questions. It's right there, Brax. Absolutely, you can send me a screenshot, and then I can use my editor. That's Juju Fish. That's my significant other. I'm using the tablet under her account. But yeah, you can absolutely send it, and then I'll look at it, and then if I see it on there, I'll circle it, and then I'll put an arrow pointing to it or something. Or I could even make a little small video to send back or something. Actually, a video probably won't work in email. It might be too long. Anyhow, we'll figure it out. Yeah, send me a screenshot, Brax. And I'll give T my love, I promise. I promise to find. Other than that, be blessed, everybody. They charge a $67 fee. Holy shit. That doesn't seem right. Well, I mean, I guess it depends how much money you're using. But on the pro version, man, $67. I don't know how much. Send me the screenshot, and then we can talk about it deeper. I don't want to give away all your information on the live. There's just too many people that try to hack and too many unwarranted people that you might give the wrong